The 7 things you should be talking about today. Number 7.
More information on the Space Command headquarters moving to the great state of Alabama, leaving Colorado in the dust. Its permanent home, of course, is supposed to be Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. U.S. Representative Dale Strong is continuing to make it clear that move is coming. It's happening. He says it will happen. This is after a meeting with President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance in the Oval Office. And he says it's time to make this move and get this done, and that's going to be happening soon. He argues that the evaluations, which is correct here, consistently favor Alabama for its security advantages, predicting 1,400 to 1,700 direct jobs and a 3,000 job boost to the area, with more growth expected from additional FBI roles. So no Doge, I guess.
Number 6.
On the same day, federal judge James Boasberg continued his one-man battle to control American foreign policy over the deportation of gangsters to El Salvador's super jail, which, by the way, was a great show on the Cartoon Network. Another activist judge, Judge Anna Reyes, a name you have heard before, blocked President Donald Trump's ban on transgender troops. Now, this ban was supposed to go into effect soon, but Reyes stopped it, calling it discriminatory and baseless, arguing it undermines the rights of service members who risk their lives. That's not true. And Reyes even dismissed the claims that it harms military readiness, which, of course, is not true. Now, Chief Justice John Roberts is sharply criticizing President Trump for criticizing judges over their adverse rulings, but never criticized those judges for their adverse rulings in trying to run the executive branch.
Number 5.
After more than 9 months aboard the International Space Station, NASA astronauts Barry Butch Wilrow and Suni Williams landed safely in the Gulf of America near Tallahassee, Florida, via a SpaceX Dragon capsule. I mean, just listen to all of that. NASA, Gulf of America, Florida, SpaceX. I mean, good Lord, there are some liberals crying about this. No question. I guess all those things that people hate. Their extended stay, originally a week long, was extended because the Boeing Starliner didn't really work out the way it was supposed to. 286 days there, prompting NASA to switch to SpaceX Crew 9 return with Nick Hague and Alexander Gorbanov. By the way, none of the regular broadcast channels carried this. Why? Elon Musk. They are deranged.
Number 4.
Alabama State House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels, a Democrat from Huntsville, cautioned lawmakers against letting the overtime pay tax exemption expire at the end of June, accurately calling it a $230 million tax increase on people who work overtime. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's it. They're going to get a tax increase. He also told Republicans that the increase could hurt them in the 2026 election. And I'm not so sure about that part, but he argued at a Business Council of Alabama meeting that the exemption enacted in 2023 with bipartisan support boosts economic activity and creates more revenue than its $238 million cost, pushing for its passage over other tax plans. But it looks like they're going to let this thing expire. I'm shocked by that. I'll just be completely honest.
Number 3.
But the Alabama House unanimously passed a bill cutting state sales taxes on food from 3 to 2%. Set to start September 1st, pending Senate approval and Governor Kay Ivey's signature. This is how they're going to say, look, that overtime tax cut was great, but what if we spread that out to everybody? And you know what? We can't really criticize the logic there, but I feel like that little girl in the, I think it was a taco commercial or a burrito commercial or whatever it is, where she says, why not both? That'd be my question. Why not both? House Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter, Republican from Brainsville, talks up these moves as the state's largest tax cut and says it will save families at least $236 a year. as part of a broader $192 million tax relief package, including retirement income exemptions and increased standard deductions. So they did do these tax cuts, so that little battle continues.
Number 2.
United States Senator Tommy Tuberville, eyeing a 2026 gubernatorial bid, finds himself, well, I don't know if he finds himself. Surrounding him is a question about his eligibility to run for governor. He's seen as a strong contender. You're starting to see some stories be written about an interview I did with State Senator Sam Gavan. Way to cover that story a week later. AL.com, way to go. They're questioning his eligibility. Gavan warns a residency dispute could disrupt the race, potentially leaving only weak candidates like dum-dums like Dean Odle, who thinks the earth is flat. ALGOP Chairman John Wall sees no current basis to challenge Senator Tuberville's eligibility to run for governor in 2026. Based on the 7-year residency rule, the argument, of course, that he'd been a senator for 6 years, so there's at least 6 right there. Wall says the party is a neutral referee and primaries not a tool to block candidates. They have blocked candidates before for different reasons.
And today's number 1 thing you should be talking about today.
Russian President Vladimir Putin accepted a 30-day halt on attacking Ukrainian energy infrastructure during a call with President Donald Trump of America. Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, they apparently agreed to something, but he declined a broader 30-day total ceasefire that Ukraine had endorsed, citing concerns about Kiev rearming during that time frame. The White House announced immediate talks for a larger ceasefire and a lasting peace deal, while experts suggest Putin's limited concession may be a tactic to gain time for Russia to rearm and Russian troops to continue to advance. Now, not so fast, my friends, as ESPN's Chris Berman used to say. Despite Putin's assurance to Trump that he would stop targeting Ukrainian energy grids and he would begin truce negotiations in the Middle East, Russian forces struck Slavansky energy facilities soon after, disrupting electricity. So lots of questions about what exactly is the ceasefire here, but there is a conversation happening, and I've continued to reiterate this point. I will drive this point home until I am blue in the face, and you will listen to it until you are blue in the ears. Donald Trump wants peace. Donald Trump does not care how that peace comes about. Donald Trump just wants peace. He has no desire to get into the middle of this with NATO or the EU or American troops on the ground. He wants this thing over, and he thinks that through brute force and his stunning personality that he can stop this war right here, right now, and end it. I think he's finding this harder than he thought it was going to be. The media is doing their whole, well, what about day one? You said you were going to do it on day one. Why didn't you do it on day one? You know, that sort of thing. When they never once said, hey, Joe Biden, you going to do something about this war? They were never concerned about that, but they are, in fact, very concerned about this. So Vladimir, maybe I agree ceasefire, maybe I don't. That's where he's at this point. So I don't really think this is that huge of a deal, but it is progress. It is the number one thing you should be talking about today. If you've got questions or disagree with that, well, easy way for you to get in here and let me know. Yep, all you gotta do is pick up the phone right now, 205-545-9950. Let me know what you're thinking, what your questions are. Get them in here right now. And also, I just want to know, do you think that Russia actually wants peace in this situation? It just doesn't really seem like that's the buy-in here. I'm not sure I buy that. Anyway, you can get your questions and comments in right there. The talk or text 205-545-9950. I don't know. I like that sound effect now. You can get it here right now. It's the fastest hour of radio anywhere on your radio dial.
You're listening to News and Views with Dale Jackson